And so this is the Creality K1C. So we have a totally enclosed metal frame with tinted windows all around. So we have acrylic panels. Then we have an actual glass door that has a cutout, goes around the screen, and another acrylic panel on this side. The top is also a see-through, darkened, and it does clip in. We have little magnets that hold it down on diagonal ends and then just empty on the other side. And there's like these little bolts that it goes into. You do have to push it down kind of to lock it in. But here on the top, we can see we have very nice access to everything. So there's a couple iterations or upgrades for the K1C versus just the K1, as it is a slight improvement, I would say. And the main thing is being at the hot end, the nozzle itself. So this is a new, and they call it a unicorn tri-metal nozzle that goes all the way down to the extruder. So it's like one piece really long. And that's supposed to be a really big improvement for not only for higher temperature printing, but also for carbon fiber printing, which is really emphasized for this printer. Another thing here is on the back of the hot end, we have a more beefier or stronger, more capable overall extruder here that has a stronger grip on the filament. And we can kind of see it protrudes here a bit. We still have kind of the same routing here with the chain, and honestly it's practically exactly the same to the original K1. It just has been refined in the right places to be reliable and a better experience. So if we go down here to the bed, we can see we got a new fascia that has the model number there, our build volume, which is the same, and our smooth PEI sheet, which also is the same, except if we go here to the very back, we can see there's a little brush now where the nozzle can clean itself. And it's obviously removable. And it is only printable here on one side. The other side is just smooth. And we can see this is only for PLA. So if you want to do hotter temperatures, you're going to have to get another plate. And also, this little rubbery clean out here is now going to have to be incorporated for the K1C to meet the OEM spec. So that does complicate things a bit. But yeah, the plate is very nice. It's thin, flexible, and should work very well. But you do want to use glue on these kind of plates. And the reason for that is because it's so smooth. It tends to stick better than the textured ones. And so the glue will help protect the plate, which helps it not to stick too hard. We do have little bolts there that we butt against and it goes down. And that's a great design. Now there is something new here also, but that's from the back. We'll get to in a second. Another thing you guys can see here, we have a little camera, and the K1C comes standard with it. So for the older K1s, it was an option, but now it's standard. And that's great because you can see what you're printing from the Creality print app. And here we got the two motors for the Core XY, little temperature sensor for the enclosure. And on this side here, we have a really large external blower that helps cool the part down as it's printing. And down here we have the Z motor that goes up and down. And by the way, those little arrows here point at bolts you got to take out of the bed. There's 3 of them, and we do have 3 leads that run the bed up and down. Here we got a pretty nifty graph. You can't see because the bed's all the way down. That shows you the different filaments and the suggested temperatures for the nozzle in the bed. We got a USB port here in the front. Also our 4.3 inch very large display, and these are very nice and work very well. We got rubber feet on all 4 corners. And one thing to note about this door is that it is glass, and you have to be a little careful as it doesn't open more than that, to not push it too hard as you can crack the glass. So yeah, but it's a very nice premium feeling door, and you do have to install this knob here, which is very simple. And one thing that we haven't touched on is we are writing on rails. We do have like a double rail here for the X and single rails on each side for the Y. So the PTF tubing actually kind of goes through the top here, and there's a cutout in the door, which is interesting that they didn't choose to go through the printer, but the wire goes through and down. So looking towards the back, we can see where the PTF tubing goes. It goes straight to the filament detector, and then right below that we got the spool holder, so the spool will unwind this way and go through. We got a nice honeycomb design. And over here, this is an upgrade here, as we have a little small carbon filter that has little carbon balls in there, and it kind of helps neutralize the air, but it is kind of small, so not sure how effective it is, but it does have one, and I'm sure it's going to help a bit. So going down from there, we have the manufacturing label, and we can see the rated power at 350 watts, and it weighs about 25 pounds. And below that, we got the power input port. It is fused with an on and off switch. And yeah, other than that, it looks quite clean here in the back. Also underneath this front Creality logo, we have an LED strip. Not very large, but it does create light for the inside. And going to the left side of the printer on the bottom here, you guys can see we have the voltage switch for the 2 different voltages. So make sure you switch that to the correct one. Normally they come on 230. And so if you live in the US, you want to switch it to 115. And yeah, guys, overall, it's pretty much a small upgrade, but significant enough to make it a whole model for the K1 here that makes it a C now. So for the next part, let's go ahead and power it on, check, make sure everything works, go through the setup process, and do our first print. All right, so we got the printer plugged in. Let's go ahead and hit the power switch. And we can see a little light lit up here. Got the Creality logo. Some fans kicked in, but it's very quiet. So here's gonna prompt us through the setup. We're gonna choose our language, click next. It's gonna confirm that we took out the 3 bolts that hold the build plate down. We're gonna say, okay, we took them out. So now it's asking us to make sure there's nothing inside and it's clear. We do have to agree to a privacy policy, so you can read that if you want, but there's quite a bit to read. Next part, we're gonna set up our network. So what you're gonna do is just gonna click on your network name and then enter the credentials, and the printer will connect. All right, so we get a little check mark saying we're connected. Click next. So here you're gonna put in the time zone that you're in. Click next. So here we have a barcode to connect to the Creality cloud. And if you wanna have a lot of control and just ease of use, you definitely wanna use the app. And if you go into your app store, you'll find it there, and I already have it. So let's go ahead and open it up. So up here, there's a little scan. I'm gonna click on that, and we're gonna scan this QR code here that's presented. So once it scans it, it's gonna find the printer, and it's gonna ask us to confirm. We're gonna click on done to confirm, and it's gonna add it to the list of printers that I already have here. So now we can use the app here to control the printer completely. So it's doing something here, and we're gonna leave that be for now. Let's click next. So for the next part, it's gonna do some checks and processes like the input shaping, things like that. And it's gonna take about 11 minutes, so we can go ahead and start and do that. And you guys can see a list here of everything it's gonna do. So we can see we passed all these tests, and now it's going to do input shaping. And then after that, out of bed level. And we can go ahead and grab this piece of foam from the packaging. So the bed does have to go up for it to come out. So when it's doing its input shaping, you don't really want to touch it or move it around, as it is calculating the resonance of the whole thing. So wherever you're going to use it, that's where it should be done. All right, so the self-check is complete. We'll click OK, and it's gonna go to the main menu. So if you ever use the Creality operating system, it's quite simple. We got hot buttons here. There's a grab between the nozzle and the bed. Here we can see also the nozzle, bed, and interior temperature. And if you click on it, you can adjust it. Also, we got a hot button here for the light, so you can turn that on and off. I guess we'll choose to keep it on. And fan controls there, so right now it's cooling down the nozzle. So here we have settings, movement and temp. And then extruder, so this is how we're going to load and unload filament. And the cooling we've seen. Then we got files, so we do have some included files, and these are local. We also can read a USB drive, and the history. In the settings, you got a lot more things you can adjust, quite a few things here. The screen off time can be adjusted, and I'm going to set mine to no settings so it doesn't turn off. You can also control the brightness of the screen. Go 1 maybe. Not sure if it's better for filming or not, but anyways. And then we got our network there and the camera. And here we have the settings that we can adjust. So you can do time lapses where it makes them automatically. The AI functions, it is on and it's going to detect if certain things are going wrong. Let's say print came loose or something abnormal happened. And then down here we got a little help, FAQ, error history, and then you can upload your logs. So yeah, pretty basic. So I think for the next part, let's go ahead and load some filament. And we got here some Creality Hyper filament that's made for fast printing. And we can see this is the gray. So our filament will go here on the back. And it's gonna roll out from the bottom up. We're gonna grab our snippers, they're included, cut the filament on an angle, and feed it through. And it's going to go around on the top here and then into the extruder. So one thing to note is make sure, I don't know if you guys can see, but your extruder lever is unlocked, which is this way. And as we push our filament through, we can kind of maybe see it go through there. And we're going to go through the extruder, and once we feel like we're in the teeth and kind of down in there, we can lock it by going that way. And so now we can click extrude, and it's going to preheat the nozzle and extrude it for us. And there it goes. And so simple as that, our filament is purged. So if we go back down to the display here, we can see that it's finished. So if we click on files, we do have a few options to print here. I guess we should start with this 16-minute benchy. We also have this super crazy 600 millimeters a second test. I guess we can do that. And also it looks like we have a little upgrade or relocation of our spool holder, I think on the side, but yeah, we'll check that out also. And here we also have some kind of base. In any case, let's go with this benchy. We'll click on it and you guys can see how long it's going to take, and the calibration is checked. We just did the calibration, but we'll go ahead and let it do it again just in case it needs it for this first print. We'll click print and it'll start, and that's our printing menu. And there's not too much you can adjust here while you're printing, mostly just the temperature and the bed and the fans, but yeah. And there it goes. And it looks like the offset is perfect, which is expected. Alright. I don't know if you guys can hear, the printer is pretty quiet. It is going pretty slow on the first layer. Well, I mean, it is quick, but not crazy quick, but I'm sure it's going to speed up here shortly after the first layer. But at these normal operating speeds, it's not loud at all. It's mostly fan that I hear, and it's a little bit of movement. And there it goes. Now it's cooking at full speed, looks like. And it's moving at incredible speeds. Alright, so in about 14 minutes or so, we're going to have a benchy. All right, so we printed the benchy and the 600 millimeters a second test, which is quite fast. So the benchy showed actually 17 minutes when it was completed, and for the ultra fast print, it was 9 minutes. So either way, very, very quick. So let's take a closer look at this very, very fast benchy. So this filament that we're using is this kind of light gray, and you can really see all of the details. So it might look a little worse than it actually is. It's mostly just because of the color of the filament and the shadows that are cast. But in any case, we can see we got a really smooth bottom as we have the smooth plate. There is a little brim around here that comes off for the most part. And if we look at the walls here, they're pretty nice. There's something a little bit there. But still, guys, you have to consider this is a super fast print, and it's quite composed looking. No stringing, great overhangs. The box looks good. The walls here look pretty good too, and the top with the chimney. So nothing really to complain about, especially at the speed. So this print here is printed at an incredible speed, and you guys can see it's pretty much perfect. So it is kind of just one layer all around. That's why it can print so fast. But this just kind of shows off the capability or how fast the printer can go at, you know, maximum velocities. But yeah, you guys can see I didn't use any glue, and the models seem to pop off just fine. Even though they do recommend using a little bit of glue because it'll protect your build plate. Because if the offset is not just right or something happens, you can really damage this thing easily. But for the most part, on these PLA prints, it's pretty safe. Or at least what it appears like, to just print straight on it. And our little brushes there are doing a good job of cleaning the nozzle. And I also noticed that it actually checks the height of the brush on those two ends there. Yeah, that's quite unique. But yeah, check out this pretty crazy print. We do also have a little brim. I'm not going to take it off as it's probably going to destroy the model here. But yeah, it's definitely interesting how fast the nozzle can go around these kind of shapes. So this is probably not, you know, anything too useful, because in reality you're actually printing infill and all that stuff. But it just shows how well the printer can be composed at these kind of speeds, and the walls can still look very nice. Very happy with the performance so far, as expected. So I think for the next part, I'm going to retract this filament. So let's go to settings, extrude, retract. So we're going to click on retract to reverse our filament where we can pull it out. We can unlock it here if it doesn't come out completely to pull it out. But that should be pretty simple there. And I'm going to put a darker filament in there, and maybe we can slice something really quick on our phone to show you guys how simple it is. And then we should be able just to pull it out here in the back, and sure enough, it just comes right out. So I'm going to just load up some generic PLA. We'll see how well it does with that. Very simple to load. We're going to unlock it, get it kind of in our teeth, lock it, and then extrude. And that should pull it through and purge it. And while it's doing that, let's go ahead and go to the phone. And we already connected our printer with the scan and scan the barcode. So let's go ahead and just search calibration cube in the search bar. And here we have a few cubes that pop up, so we can just choose some random one. I'm guessing this one looks pretty generic there. So we're going to click on slice. So here we have to choose our printer. Make sure you choose yours. Here we have the K1C. And so there are profiles. We're on balanced, and we do have like the full control of the slicer here on everything, but we're going to leave it the way it is. Click on the balance, and you have dynamic here also. So this is going to be like a higher quality, but they recommend using just balance. So we can see here our little cube in the slicer, and when you're ready, you're going to click slice. So it sliced it for us here. We're going to click on print. So we need to make sure we move everything out of the way here. Choose our printer. It's going to confirm, make sure nothing's there. So it's giving you a tip here to enable the calibration so it can check everything again. I'm going to cancel that, and it starts the print. For some reason, there's an error on our camera. It says no signal. Not sure exactly what happened here. That probably just buggy software. But as you guys can see, it started and it loaded up our file here, which is the calibration cube. And here we can see the status of what the printer is doing. You can stop it. You can adjust the parameters here, which it doesn't give you much choice to adjust much. So, but if you do click on, let's say, the temperature, something else will pop up here, lets you adjust that. Okay, so now that it's starting, we got more options that popped up. So you can adjust the speeds also, and it also shows us the inside temperature. And there it goes. So now we're printing with black PLA, just generic stuff. And apparently the cube I chose is huge. Oh wait, maybe that's the raft. Okay, so I forgot to go through the settings, and I guess the raft was on. So, but yeah, you can adjust everything in the slicer on the phone, which is really cool. And it's kind of unfortunate our camera stopped working. Maybe we just need to restart everything. All right, so we ended up printing a couple things, not just the cube, but also a benchy and a spool relocation mount. And so our calibration cube actually turned out pretty reasonable. We did have a raft, which I did turn off for the benchy, but let's see how easy it pops off. And it's stuck on there pretty well. All right, so it doesn't want to come off easy. I'm just gonna leave it. It's just breaking off. So definitely not the best raft execution here, at least on the standard profile. In any case, let's just look at the axes. So the X is a little vibratey or ghosty, I guess I could say. There's some artifacts in it. The Y actually is very nice, which is quite interesting. Pretty big difference. And then that's the X wall. We can see there's some stuff there towards the end. And then the Y wall, which is much better. The raft bottom and the top looks pretty good too. So yeah, not bad. And I believe this cube would be only about 10 minutes or less without the raft. So yeah, it is printing quite quick on the standard profile, but obviously you'd want that for a Core XY machine. Now our benchy here, it's still stuck. Let's see. So yeah, I haven't had any issues with the bed sticking too hard so far. So I'm not using any kind of glue or not sticking good enough where it pops off. There was a little blob here that got stuck when it started printing. So this benchy here is 33 minutes, what it says. So about 30 minutes to print on the standard profile, and this is what we got. So let's look at the, well, I guess let's start here with the bottom. So it looks pretty good. The walls look very nice actually. There's very minimal ghosting or vibrations, especially in this area here where usually you would see something going on, but it looks clean. And the back there, we got some ringing, but not horrible. Again, guys, this is a 30-minute benchy, so, and the top actually looks quite good too. Yeah, definitely it looks a lot more composed than the 16-minute benchy. Now, the last print we have here is actually included in the printer, and this is a spool relocation, and this turned out pretty well. So the bottom here, we can see there's something a little bit here. Yeah, with the smooth surface like this, you can really tell if there's any gaps, which there are a little bit. But yeah, other than that, everything else looks pretty good. Again, we didn't slice this at all, so it is a little stringy. It's something not a heat gun can just get rid of and just blow a little bit of hot air. It's very, very fine stringy. You can really see how every layer sits. And the reason I wanted to print in the black is because, turn this thing around, you guys can see the spool holder is here right now. So this little bracket relocates it to the side of the printer, and it goes something like this. Basically, these three bolts here line up, and then the spool holder will go in here. And so now the spool will sit on the side and then kind of go out here. It's not really at the right angle. It could work still, but maybe need a longer tube here for a better guide. So, but what's awesome is they include that with the printer if you want to go this option and relocate your spool, which is kind of neat. And while we're back here, let's go ahead and install some brand new roll of PLA carbon fiber. So this is practically like regular PLA, but it has lots of carbon fiber chunks or pieces, I guess, inside the filament. So you definitely need a hardened nozzle to print this, which this printer obviously can do. And so because this is PLA, we could still print it just like you would print any other PLA. Now that we got some carbon fiber in there, let's quickly jump to the computer and I'll show you guys how easy it is to slice just from the Creality Cloud website. And maybe we'll do another benchy here, but this time with the carbon fiber enhanced PLA. All right, so here we are at the crealitycloud.com, and yeah, it's actually quite easy to use here right off the website. But before we go there, I want to show you guys here the differences, maybe you can see, between the K1, K1 Max, and the K1C. I guess mostly here from the K1 to K1C. You guys can see it's mostly all similar, except for when we get to the carbon fiber stuff here, which the C can do. And then we also got the all metal direct drive extruder and the tri-metal nozzle. That's the big difference. Even the Max doesn't have that, but everything else, as you guys can see, is the same, which is pretty crazy that the difference is not that huge, but it's enough to make it its own model. In any case, so here back at the cloud, let's go ahead and get a benchy again. So we just need a normal one, obviously. So you can download it and do whatnot else with it, but we're just gonna slice it here on the machine. And you guys can see we got the same kind of menus here as we did on our phone for the slicing. So we need to change our device type here to, let's see, my printers is here, there we go, K1C. So we'll click on that. And here we can adjust all the parameters. So you want to go from basic to advanced so you can see a little more. In any case, everything looks good here. We do need to unclick the raft because we don't want rafts. The print speed on the balanced or standard is 300. And by the way, we only have dynamic or balanced as choices. You can obviously make your own and fine tune the parameters to your machine. We're going to stay pretty standard here. See, the retraction is 0.5 as standard. This needs to be probably 0.8 or 1. I'm just going to try 1 millimeters. Here we have the nozzle temperature, and the bed temperature is actually pretty hot for the nozzle, but we'll leave it as it is printing pretty quick here. But yeah, simple as that, guys. You have all your other controls here on the other side, and it's just like a normal slicer. So if we click the slice, it's gonna slice it up. So that's our previous benchy here, and this is our newer one. They're practically the same, I would think, but in any case, so here we have preview, print, and download. So we're gonna click on print, choose our machine that's available, which is online. Click print, and so here it says to enable calibration. I'm going to cancel that because I think the printer's calibrated. Now it's asking us to make sure nothing's on the build plate, which I know it's not. We did extrude there our filament, but that's not a big deal. And there we go, and you guys can see we actually have our camera working now. So yeah, I guess the phone just went into a glitch mode, probably just need to be restarted. But yeah, we can see our build plate going up. And so the camera is set up right at the nozzle, or I guess towards the middle of the bed, so you can't see as much as you would think. So even if I go full screen here, well, you guys can only see a small piece of it. But anyways, you can't see as much as you would think you can, as the field of view is quite narrow. But still, you can see pretty much the whole build plate here. And here we have the status of what the printer's doing. And then when it starts printing, all of this will be highlighted, and you'll be able to use this bottom section. Alright, so now it started the print, and you guys can see the whole bottom here opened up. It's not grayed out now, and we can see that we can adjust our temperatures. Nozzle and bed, we can see our chamber temperature. The speed is locked, so we can't adjust that. Things are unlocking, like this fan just unlocked as the printer continues to print. Then we can control our LED here in the back fan, so yeah, pretty good controls. And here we can see the status. We got 2% done. We're on third layer. Time passed, time remaining, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes. Doesn't make sense. I don't think that's correct, but who knows? I think it's going to be only 30 minutes. I think it's way off, because I remember it showing it last time that slow, but it actually finished in 33 minutes. But yeah, the benchy, we can see in the video a bit here in the feed that everything is okay. It is a little dark, but still better than nothing. And you can switch here between the camera and the slice. So yeah, we are printing in carbon fiber PLA right now. And yeah, the Creality Cloud is very easy to use. And the best part about it is that you can use it on your phone / computer. And then if you want a dedicated slicer, you can use the Creality Print application that looks like this, which is a real slicer. And this is where you would add your printer. So yeah. And just like the last one, this one is 33 minutes exactly. But this time we got carbon fiber infusement. Let's see, is it gonna pop off? Oh, look at that. Even though the build plate's still warm. Well, I guess it's not that warm, it's only 45, but yeah, pretty cool. And wow, right away, guys, I can see that this looks so much better. I think these fans are kind of loud. It's trying to cool itself off, just put the covers on. But yeah, check it out, guys. This is a whole new world here with this one. I guess my other filaments maybe not that great, but yeah, bottom looks the same. And look how smooth those sides are. This carbon fiber infused PLA just looks super nice. It's kind of got like a textured matte finish to it. Yeah, I guess if you print with higher quality filaments, you're gonna get higher quality results. And this is what we got out of this one. So here's just a comparison of the last one. I guess the shininess kind of gives away the vibrations and whatnot else. And then our new one here in carbon fiber just looks so much more nicer, and lower reflections kind of hide everything. So super cool. Very happy with how this thing's performing so far. So let's go ahead and retract the PLA carbon fiber filament that we have in there, and I want to do an ABS print, and so we can enclose the whole thing. And speaking of enclosures, we have this lid here, and there is this little rubber sticker that was included with the printer, and I believe it goes on the inside of the lid, because when the chain goes to the back, it starts touching the lid, or this way it starts touching it. So it mostly needs to go in this corner here. Looking at it here, it'll probably be something like this. Yeah, I guess where this opening is, somewhere around here, we'd start it and go all the way across, and just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that. So it's just like a rubberized sticker. Trying to make it here as even as possible. I guess something like that. And you guys can see there. So not the perfect job, but should be good. And now when we put this on there, I guess our chain can butt against the rubber. So we're gonna install some white ABS. click extrude, and this time I'm just gonna push it in there without even unlocking the extruder and see if it's gonna grab it. All right, so it says extruding. All right, so it did grab it, but I had to maybe push it in a bit for it to grab it, but I can feel it pulling it in, so should be coming out here shortly. All right, so it didn't extrude enough, so yeah, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to extrude it twice. And there, finally, I can see the white ABS coming. So let's go to temps and preheat our bed to 100. Close the lids. We need to actually clamp the top down. There we go. So now it's completely sealed. Well, pretty much. I mean, we do have holes and cutouts here and there, but yeah, and you guys can see how much quieter it got. So the bed's at 43, it's going to 100, and our chamber temperature is at 33 right now, and that should start raising. So yeah, you see guys there, it didn't take too long to get to 100, and I went ahead and sent a file through the computer to print, and it's moving into position, so this might be a little hard to record as we got darkened glass there. And yeah, also we can see our chamber temperature is at 40, and we should be good to go for ABS. And there it goes. So it's actually quite quiet right now. I think it turned off most of the fans on the first layer. And yeah, we're printing ABS. Pretty awesome. And yeah, I'm probably putting that build plate through some torture as it's made for PLA only, but I think it'll be all right here. And hopefully it grips pretty good. We are at 100 on the bed and 260 on the nozzle, as we can see there. And our chamber temperature is at 39 at the moment. So it did go down a bit, I think, because the fan started moving the air. So. All right, so we printed a few more prints. So I printed a couple things in ABS, and also we have this spaceship here, which is, by the way, the full height of this printer, 250 millimeters, printed in TPU. So the ABS actually did very well in this printer, much better than I expected. And this model here proves it. So it prints like this, laying flat. And we kind of tortured the build plate a bit as it wasn't made for this kind of high temperatures, but it still did the job and everything stuck. And there is a lot of pieces that need to stick. And what's impressive is it all stuck, and it just popped off the build plate, just flexing it as it cooled off. So this thing just flips over and it becomes like these tracks, and these tracks just broke loose and started spinning, which is incredible for ABS. And here we have very severe overhangs, and it did an excellent job there. Maybe you guys can see, but yeah, just impressive that it did it without a glitch or any kind of issues. And not to mention that it preheated pretty quickly too. And eventually, as it started printing, the chamber got over 60°C inside. So yeah, pretty toasty. Now I wanted to print something else, which is an ABS also, is this toothpaste squeezer. I've been wanting to print this, I just haven't done it yet, and it's already put together. It just prints in a few pieces here. And there's also like this gear tooth thing, and yeah, this is all in ABS, guys, and I did a great job. I did make a mistake. I didn't use supports underneath here, so it kind of got a little stringy, but still it kind of somehow printed. And putting it all together here, probably gonna end up super gluing this little cap here. But yeah, you just stick your toothpaste here through the slot into here, and then you start spinning it, and it'll start squeezing all the toothpaste out. And it doesn't go backwards, as there's little springy teeth there that grab it from going back. So yeah, pretty nice design, pretty clever, and ABS should be quite strong, so definitely will be happy to have this to squeeze out the last bits of that toothpaste. And the last print we got here is this rocket, and it's actually still stuck to the build plate, but let's see, should come off pretty easy. There we go. So it isn't TPU, it is quite tall. The bottom looks great. The walls look great. There's a little bit of finish surface differences, and I think this is just the fan kicking in once in a while and then turning off. But overall, you guys can see it did an excellent job for TPU here, and even to the very top quite well and nice. And to prove that this is TPU, guys, we're gonna just fold it, and you guys can see it's just gonna bounce back. So yeah, even for something as delicate as this, the printer doesn't seem to have an issue. Now you do need to print this hotter and slower, obviously, so it could flow easier. But it's great to see the new tri-metal unicorn nozzle design there still work with TPU, ABS, carbon fiber, infused PLA. So yeah, overall this thing does very well. So the conclusion for the K1C is that it's definitely an upgrade from the K1. It's slight, but it is an upgrade. Everything is definitely more polished and just works. But it does feel like that maybe the K1 should have just been upgraded to this without a new model, as I don't really see why you need the K1 with the K1C now. Now the typical nuances are, loading filament from the back. That does get a little annoying, pushing it through the tube, whatnot else. It is a direct drive, but if you want to have this kind of enclosure style printer, you deal with that kind of design. As far as build quality, it's excellent. With metal frame, beautiful doors. Well, I guess we can close this. Darkened a bit, not too dark, but a bit, which is nice. Including the top cover. Again, printing 300C with any kind of abrasive filaments is a breeze. The new dual extruder pushes beautifully. We got a large external parts cooling fan on the side, which helps with overhang, so we saw in that ABS print. Also having some carbon filtering in the back there on that fan is nice. The smooth PEI sheet is good. Everything seems to stick. I am a little worried about that little clean out part in the back where the nozzle goes back and forth on the ribs, as it is just a stick on to the plate. Great build volume that we all know of 220 by 220 by 250. Beautiful large screen that works very well. Large rubber feet keep things from vibrating. And also we got an AI camera that kind of smart and can tell if something's wrong and alert you. And also you can check up on your print, which is nice. It is ultra quiet, especially with all the doors and lid closed. And the overall experience of just Creality Cloud and how you connect to the printer, how you send files, slice them on your phone, computer, browser, just all works super good. So for me, this is definitely a huge thumbs up. And if you want fast Core XY that can print abrasive filaments and quite easy just to unbox it and get started with, this printer definitely delivers. It feels premium, it's built premium, and it's the best from Creality in the world of fast 3D printers. So if you guys are interested in this thing, I'm gonna have some links in the description. Check it out. If you did enjoy this video, then hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, check out my 3D printing playlist. I'm sure you'll find something interesting there. And also stay tuned as we got more interesting stuff coming up. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next. Peace.